the Guantanamo Bay detention facility and transfer up to 60 terror suspects to U.S. prisons. This was one of the president's first pledges, you'll remember, after taking office in January of 2009. Today, a last-ditch effort to fulfill that promise. Listen here to the president.
Guantanamo harms our partnerships with allies and other countries whose cooperation we need against terrorism. When I talk to other world leaders, they bring up the fact that Guantanamo is not resolved. Moreover, keeping this facility open is contrary to our values. It undermines our standing in the world. It is viewed as a stain on our broader record of upholding the highest standards of rule of law.
Joining me now to discuss is Republican Congresswoman Jackie Walorski from Indiana. She sits on the Armed Services Committee. It's great to see you again, Congresswoman. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much, Kate. Appreciate it.
Of course. You oppose the president's plan to close Guantanamo. What is your reaction then to what you heard from the president today?
Well, this is not a great surprise. You know, he's been talking about this for quite a few years now, and I think all he's really done today is do a kind of like a press release saying, okay, here's my shot across the bow. I want to send terrorists who've killed Americans into American soil, and it's in writing. And that's really the only difference today from what he's been talking about and from what we've seen on the Armed Services Committee as well.
I don't think it's a surprise that maybe what the president said today isn't going to be changing any opinions on Capitol Hill, but I do want to talk about one part of the plan that is getting a lot of the focus. It would likely bring detainees to prisons here in the United States. You have fought very hard against just that, but Congressman, there are already terror suspects in prisons here in the United States. Are you concerned that the prisons here, are you concerned that they can keep them secure? What are your concerns?
That's my biggest secure, Kate. Number one, let's just talk about who we're looking at. These are not your run-of-the-mill criminals. They're not your run-of-the-mill prisoners. These are mastermind terrorists who still have a desire to kill Americans. These are the folks that killed our fellow Americans in Iraq and the Middle East and places like that. Let's not forget that some of these terrorists have already gone back into the field and they've become great commanders to continue to lead the fight against our country. And I'm concerned about that. I'm definitely concerned about how in the world would we hold them in a U.S. prison. And I, like many of my neighbors, you know, I don't want them in the state of Indiana in our Supermax facility. And I don't think anybody in this country wants them here. We want them detained in a safe place where they will never harm an American again. And I would throw this to you as well, Kate. In the future, as we continue to get deeper and deeper into Syria, we've sent forces now, we've sent operational forces and special ops now into Syria, and we continue now in the Middle East with this developing situation in Iraq. What are we going to do with future detainees? Where are we going to put them for the purpose of interrogation, to get information to stop attacks in our own country? All that is wrapped up right now in Guantanamo Bay. And I'm going to fight and make sure that the president doesn't break the law, which is sending them here. It's illegal right now. I'm going to make sure I can do what I can, and I have been fighting this for 4 years. I'm passionate about this.
You clearly are, but on the point of bringing detainees to the United States, the president points out there are already accused terrorists sitting in our prisons. Moussaoui is in a Supermax in Colorado. The shoe bomber is in a prison in the United States. There are prisons that are holding terrorists already. The Pentagon has said that it believes that it can keep them secure. Why do you not believe the Pentagon?
Well, I would tell you because we're not talking, again, just about a couple of hardcore terrorists. That core that we're talking about to be released into this country because nothing else can be done with them are the masterminds that mastermind attacks. They've mastermind murder of our fighting forces that are overseas. And no, I do not believe an American prison can hold them. And I guess the greater question, Kate, is why do we want to expose American citizens to these people right on our own soil? They're safe where they're at. They cannot escape where they're at. It's been proven true, and it's a facility for future detainees as well. I am not going to expose our American citizens on our soil to folks who continue to carry the threat and continue want to kill Americans. I absolutely do not trust our U.S. prison systems, no.
Well, to your point, I mean, you say that the best place for them to be is in Guantanamo Bay, but the president pointed out today, John McCain agrees with him on this point, that Guantanamo Bay is being used for recruiting purposes, propaganda purposes for terror organizations. ISIS puts their hostages in orange jumpsuits in their beheading videos. Do you not believe that they're being used, that GITMO is used as a propaganda tool?
You know, one of the things we've learned, one of the issues that we've learned on the House Armed Services Committee over the past 4 years is that, you know, there may have been a minimal amount of that recruiting when this first opened, when this first happened. But as time has rolled on, let's not forget, you know, there is a balance between what's the cost of keeping Americans safe. And I want to err on the side of keeping Americans safe, both in the homeland and even the guards that protect them in Guantanamo today. And I don't think the trade-off's worth it. I don't think I want to hedge my bet on what the Pentagon says they think would work. I'm going to err on the side of the safety of Americans.
Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, it's always great to have you on. Thank you so much for your time. The fight clearly continues. Appreciate it. Coming up next for us, it's a